Welcome to our YouTube channel, In Our Basement. My name is Niels.
And I'm Gail. We're going to be having conversations and share our thoughts about things that we're really passionate about.
And just before we get started, go ahead and hit that subscribe button.
And if you like the content, then feel free to share it on your social media platform. Well, welcome to our first podcast.
This is so exciting. Oh my gosh.
So welcome to our basement, tonight we're just going to talk about how we met and
It's going to be good.
How did we meet?
We met online, and when people ask how do we meet, I say we met online and we clicked. You're probably going to get lots of puns on this show. I hope that's okay. It's part of our lame sense of humor.
So thank you for joining us, and beware, there's probably going to be a lot of cheese, but
lactose free.
Yeah, lactose free, gluten free.
Yeah.
So we met online, and I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
Before you found this angel, I'm talking about me.
Yeah, her. Yeah.
Before you met me,
yeah.
Did you meet anybody else that was interesting?
Oh, online specifically, right?
Online specifically.
Right. Okay, so yeah, I did.
What was your? I'll say, what was your experience before me?
Before, okay, yeah. So I maybe I should say like why I started online dating, right? Because I started online dating, obviously to meet someone, but I think I was at a place in my life where I was working shift work, and I would have ideally liked to find someone within the church, within like the Christian church community, but I was working a 6-on day job with 3 days off, so that would just overlap from Sundays and the weekends. And so I went on to this site. It was a bit of a fishy kind of site. Without saying which one it is, though, that kind of narrows it down.
For those of you who are online, you might know, but
yeah, exactly. And then I went on like this website and started a profile, and sometimes you get what you pay for, and in this case I didn't pay anything. I was using it for free, and I went on one date with someone, and it was all right. Like, there wasn't like a connection after, and that was kind of it. And then but I had kind of talked to people online, messaged, maybe initiated some conversations here and there, because you don't have like much to base off. I mean, you think you do, but you got like 4 or 5 pictures and then a profile description, and I'm typing in like Christian in the description. But even then, the site in and of itself at the time was, it just seemed like people were on there just to maybe get like a one-night stand type thing.
That, I think, was a lot of the people.
A lot of the people on there, they were looking for a hookup. Where I was looking for a long-term commitment, right?
For the one.
The one and only.
Yeah.
So tell us about what your online dating experience was like.
So for me, I went on, and for me too, it was really important for me to find somebody who's Christian, because like in the Bible it says you got to be equally yoked.
Right.
No yoking around
no
here.
No yoking around. Crack you up. Excellent.
So I found this guy. He messaged me, and I was like, okay, he looks pretty cool. And so we went. We talked for a little bit, because I was like, I'm not meeting up with anybody after like the first conversation or anything. So after talking for a bit, we went on a date.
Okay.
And then it was good. And so I was like, okay, we'll go again. And this was actually at a really interesting time in my life.
What was going on then?
So in 2007, I was diagnosed with epilepsy. And so because like I was only having partial seizures, so that doesn't mean like I lose all consciousness and fall over. That just means like it's just affecting like a small bit of my brain, and I'd feel buzzing down my right side, and had a hard time speaking through it, and everything goes quiet.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's been an interesting journey, but that's not the story that we're on today. But I had my neurologist had got me connected with a neuro hospital in Montreal, Quebec.
Right.
And so I had an opportunity to go and get this cool test done that just so happened to be surgical. And so this was my first time going under. And so I was really nervous. And, you know, you hear the word brain surgery and you're like, oh, my goodness, somebody's going to totally die. Or like,
right.
and
yeah,
of course it has,
extreme for
it
sure.
has its like things that could go wrong. But it was just like, okay, this is just a test. And so it's not like I was getting any pieces taken out or anything.
No, yeah.
And so so this guy, he was like, okay, this girl, she's going and getting brain surgery. And so we went out and we just like, okay, this is going to sound so sketch. We went to this place that, okay, we were sitting in a parking lot, but it wasn't super like a private parking lot, but it was like overlooking this place in the city. And so it was nice,
Okay,
whatever.
yeah.
But anyway, so we're sitting in his car and he pulls out this huge gift bag from the back seat. And I was like,
That's sweet.
I know. I
Right,
thought
yeah,
so.
I think that's thoughtful.
And he's like, you know, you're leaving, and I think I was leaving in like 2 days or the next day or something.
For war. No, I'm just joking.
For war.
Yeah, brain surgery.
And so he had this nice gift bag for me, and I was like, oh, that's so sweet. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so I pulled out, you know, first I pull out this nice little activity book for something for me to do while I was in the hospital.
Okay.
And then this nice book, I like animals, and so it was called Unlikely Friends. And so it was like
Aww.
different animals making friends with each other. And then what did I pull out? Then I think what I pulled out next
Out of the bag was
I was highly inappropriate. I pulled out a box of condoms.
Oh my goodness. Oh no.
So I just looked at him with a like look of what? And so he's like, okay, so, you know, we're both virgins, and so, you know, like, you're going for brain surgery, and like, what if you die? And he was just like making up this whole like sob thing and saying like, you know, you don't want to like, so, you know, I'll lose my virginity to you. And I was just like, you can take me home now.
You're like, that's a wrap. But
I really should have just like left, but thankfully he was kind and he drove me back to.
That's nice.
Well, yeah, wasn't it?
After being shut down.
But does it end there?
No, it doesn't. I remember we were talking about this the other day.
So then I had later that night, I guess I had told him about this. I was going to a nice concert that my friends put on. And he texted me and he was like, how are you feeling? And I was stupid and texted him back and said like, oh yeah, well, I'm getting a little nervous. And he was like, I'm going to come there. I'm going to come and I'll comfort you. I'll pick you up. And I'm like, no. And he just was like, I'm on my way. I was like, turn around. And I was just like, he was like, yeah, I'm going. And back then he was texting and driving. Don't text and drive.
Mm-mm.
You hear me? Okay.
That's a crime.
Then I went outside with one of my really good friends and was telling her like, okay, this guy, he said that he's going to come. And so thankfully a group of guy friends were standing outside in front of the door.
Got your boys backing you up.
And so I was like, we see him pull up and I'm just like, they're like, you want us to go and talk to him, kick him? And I'm like, no, I'll go tell him to go home. If I'm not back in like 2 minutes, you can come. And they're like, okay.
Help me out. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so I go and I tell him to go home. And I was just like, this is done. Like, don't, like, go home. That's it.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
And does it end there?
Nope. It keeps going.
So
because you started an online profile.
Okay, so this isn't like scaring you off.
No, we're not trying to scare you off.
We're not trying to scare you off because here's an example.
Online dating's great.
This is just an unfortunate horror story. So
hilarious story, actually.
I was in the hospital, and he had called the hospital, and the hospital told them what room I was in.
Oh my goodness.
And
that's a security violation. I'm just saying.
Calls the telephone in my room. And when did he call? It was when the doctors were there. And so I answered the phone, and I was like, I can't talk. Bye. And so I just hung up the phone.
Oh my god.
And then I think it was maybe the next day, I get this bouquet of flowers. He had sent me a bouquet of flowers, and I just was like, okay, that's it. I'm blocking him on everything.
Right.
I blocked him on Facebook. On Instagram wasn't out yet, was it?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it might have been, yeah.
And I blocked his phone number, everything. And so that was that.
That was that. Oh my gosh.
And yet, did I continue online? Yes.
You're like, if that didn't scare me off, I don't know what will.
Because here's the thing. In my defense,
right.
I was basically, this test was me laying in a hospital bed with a video camera on me 24/7, just like watching what's going on.
The brain waves, the epilepsy, right, and all that. Yeah.
And so I was bored out of my mind.
Right.
Because, I didn't have, I don't know, did I have Netflix back then?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, well, anyways, it was like back in the day.
Yeah.
And so it was just me and my mom wasn't always there. And so I was like, okay, well, let's just go fishing a little. And so...
Online. Get it?
So then, was it you popped up?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. And
I was swimming along.
So how did online dating work for us?
For us? Yeah.
What attracted you to this profile?
This profile right here. Yeah, I think you had like some really like wonderful photos of yourself. And then you had like 4 or 5 because, she's very, she's pretty, and she had some like lovely photos of herself on there. Yeah.
Just so you know, I'm flipping my hair.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hair flip. And I think another thing that attracted me too was that your profile said that you were a Christian. So I was looking for someone of the same faith and beliefs as me. And so there was the attraction of your photos, and then the attraction of your profile and all that. And then I sent you a message.
Yes, you did.
And I think, let me pull it up. No, I'm kidding.
I think we chatted for a little bit, and then it was like, okay, this guy seems cool. Okay, I'm gonna let's add each other on Facebook, or maybe I creeped your Facebook page
beforehand. No, yeah, I think we became,
and it was like
friends that day. Yeah.
Okay, this guy has a whole bunch of mutual friends.
Yeah, that was a relief
because like, I had just gone out with this guy. He had the profile of like, I'm a Christian guy looking for a Christian girl. And that was like one of the main things that was really important to me too. And so it was like, I saw your profile and you were like, I'm a Christian. I am in ministry. I do these things. I'm passionate about God. And I was like, that's something that's super important to me. And so I think both probably creeped each other's Facebook page.
Beforehand. Yeah,
and
exactly.
So we saw like we had these mutual friends, and so one of my friends, like I had known since elementary school, and so I went and I like was like, hey, is this guy legit? And you went to Bible school with her.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And so, did you go to her too?
I don't know if I did at the time. I may have actually.
Okay.
I just remember I saw that we had mutual friends both through, from the school I had attended and then also through church because
Yeah.
I was attending a different church and you were
Right.
attending another church.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool, like seeing how, mutual friends were,
Yeah.
or definitely like a positive,
Yeah.
vibe. Or-
Because like I went to a private Christian school and I went to church and
Right.
and then you had in Manitoba, you went to Bible school and
Yeah.
you went to church, and it was like we had all of these crossings of people
Yeah.
from different things, and it's so funny. Like we're in Manitoba, a province of like not a whole lot of people. It's
No,
not like
not
we're
really,
in
yeah.
Toronto.
Yeah, where I grew up, right? Yeah.
So yeah, we talked online and yeah.
Yeah.
What
and
happened next?
And then I think I remember, it transitioned from talking through like the dating website Messenger to quickly Facebook Messenger, and then we exchanged phone numbers, and then we set up a time for us to meet
yeah.
in public during daylight.
And so we went to this coffee shop and I had gotten there before him, and so I was like, okay, I'll get myself a coffee because I'm one of those people who is a coffee snob.
Right. Facts.
And I like on Starbucks they have like all of those different boxes to fill out, like decaf, half sweet, different
Yeah.
milk,
you check off all of them.
I don't always do decaf, but I check out most of the boxes.
Yeah, and I'm like, I get a double, and they're like, go to Tim Hortons. No, I'm just kidding.
So anyways, back on track.
Right.
Apologies.
First date-ish, yeah.
So yeah, it was our first time meeting, and
First meeting, yeah.
I went and I got myself a coffee, and then I sat down, and then I saw this strapping young man coming in.
You do it. Yeah.
And you came and introduced yourself.
Yeah, exactly. We introduced it. We. I remember, like, I went in for the handshake, and then you were kind of like this, and then we hugged, and then, and then so it's like as I was going in for the handshake, I saw her going for the hug, and then I kind of just like maneuvered my hands to go.
I was just like, yo,
yeah.
I'm all in. Let's
Yeah,
hug.
exactly. I'm like, this girl. Oh, and then that was actually like a good first impression. I was like, oh, this girl's so sweet. I was just trying to like not freak her out by going for the hug. But then the moment she went for the hug, I was just like, oh, this is so nice.
Yeah.
And then and I will add, like, you were there early, which was wonderful. I had not gotten there late, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I oftentimes can be a little bit early.
That's so good.
So, is it like
Right.
military 5 minutes early is on time?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, which is probably when I got there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then we had a great chat for an hour and a half of getting to know each other.
And then I remember one time we got together and you told me, hey, would you ever want to move outside of Winnipeg?
Yeah, exactly. Because right, because my job was potentially going to be taking me out of the city one day.
Yeah.
And then I had asked her the question, and then she said no. But this was what I like to call our foundation round of getting to know each other.
Yeah. And then so we went on like a whole bunch of dates and we just it was like God was just like, no, not yet. I just wanted you to become friends. And so it kind of like, we never said, okay, this is my boyfriend, but we went on like 8 or 9 dates or so, and then it just became friends. And I remember in 2013 there was a big church service of all of the churches in Winnipeg joining together
Winnipeg, I think.
at a stadium. And so I was in the choir, and I don't know, did you see me in the choir?
I think, maybe I knew that you were in the choir, or I might have seen you, and then I texted you.
Yeah, and so I was like, okay, well, you can meet up with me at this place.
Spot, yeah.
And then I was like, my mom and dad were with me, and so I was like, hey, this is my friend.
No,
Neil.
you're more like, hey, this is my buddy Neil. Friend zone. I'm sure.
Yeah.
At the time, right?
Because because you were leaving to go.
Yeah, exactly. I was moving away for a little bit. Yeah.
Because what were you joining?
I was joining. Well, I was already in the Air Force, but I had just gotten into the Air Force, and then I was back in Winnipeg for 3 months, and then moving away to Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan for pilot training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was obviously not gonna be long distance with this guy.
Right.
But before you left, I remember I told you about this cool place. It was a prayer room.
Yeah, exactly.
In Winnipeg. And do you want to talk about that? What happened there?
Yeah. Okay. So what was really funny was that at this point, we had gone on about 8 to 10 dates, and then I'd gone away for basic training. I had come back to Winnipeg, and I remember being at this place called Sanctuary House of Prayer. And and it was like a worship night type thing at a church. And I was actually just praying to God and saying, God, I'm single, I'm moving away. And I'm just praying to God for a wife. Mm-hmm. And then sure enough, funny enough, Gail walks in and then sits beside me. But ironically, this was way before the pandemic. She was sitting enough far away from me that I would call it like a social distancing width apart, not like Bible width apart. But
it was like he was on one end of the pew and I was on the other, the far end.
Yeah, exactly. And then I remember like praying and then kind of looking over and being like, oh God, Gail's here. And I'm like, God, listen, like she's cool, but like I'm moving away. Like how's this gonna work? And then I moved away. But yeah, that was like what online dating took us to up until that point.
Yeah. And so we went about our time, and then we got into our, what did we call it? Our success round in 2014.
Oh, we called it. There was the
final.
Well, there was the foundation round, and then there was the now I think we just called it the second round.
Yeah.
Yeah. First was the foundation round of really getting to know each other. And then the next round was now I was more serious because now I was in Moose Jaw, and then I had actually pursued you from there, and I just kind of reignited that spark again. She was dating after me, and
you dated after me,
and then I dated after. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we both had dated. Yeah, right. I forgot about that, but no, I remember.
Yes.
Short-term memory. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, and then actually I had got on Facebook, seen that you were single, and then I slowly started initiating contact again.
Yeah, and I think what was similar about when we started dating again in 2014 to now is that like we were in a long distance relationship.
Right.
And
it was a 6-hour drive right from where we lived. Yeah.
And so we did like the whole FaceTiming,
Skyping.
Or did it start at Skype?
I think it started at Skype. Yeah.
Because it was before FaceTime, or we just didn't really.
Yeah, I think we maybe transitioned to FaceTime after.
Okay. So we had that long distance, and that's kind of what is happening right now with the whole COVID pandemic, is that you have to, you can't meet in person, face to face for like a lot of dates. It's like you, so do you want to just tell us about how did you feel in that whole long distance dating?
I definitely liked the idea of like being able to FaceTime or video chat. We'll call it video chat, depending on whatever platform we were using at the time. Because I think at first I had messaged you on Facebook, and then we started video chatting. But what was really cool was that I think it had been maybe, like 3 to 4 months from the time I initiated contact to when I'd seen you next. And then because I was going to come and make a trip out to Winnipeg. But during that time, I felt as though we developed an even stronger friendship and connection. And so talking behind a screen, like talking one-on-one, you know, while that was like almost 5 to 6 years ago, just seems so authentic and real at the time.
And I think, like, I'm thankful that we weren't in COVID, but I'm very thankful for the fact that it was long distance. Like, I never thought that I would ever say that, but I'm thankful that it was long distance because I think some of our number one love languages is physical touch.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And so for us to you know, keep to our wanting to stay pure,
to have 6 hours of social distance between us.
So like wanting to stay pure and not to go over the boundary
exactly
of, like, that physical touch
within our Christian values.
Yeah. And so we had that long distance and we were able to focus on that, getting to know each other emotionally and spiritually and grow together in that way. I'm very thankful for that. And I think that is similar to what we're going through right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And so
because we are in the middle of a pandemic, right? We're in the summer, but going to be approaching the fall soon.
Yeah.
Of COVID-19.
And so now that we're in COVID, what is some encouraging words or some advice that you would give to some people who are in this online dating thing right now?
Right, like you mean like having to date within the midst of COVID.
Yeah.
Right, and wondering what that looks like.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think something to keep in mind is that, like, the whole idea of dating via video, like, isn't new. If anything, crisis is an accelerator, as one of my favorite leaders likes to say. So crisis has only accelerated what dating now potentially looks like for a start, right? Because at first you're going to meet someone online, you'll see their pictures, see their profile, right? And then maybe you'll start talking on Messenger. Then maybe it'll be a phone call. And then now, because of COVID and social distancing, depending on what city, province, or state you're living in, depending on what the restrictions are, because if you are allowed to meet or gather, then you can probably go for a date or go for coffee in a public space, you know, but maybe you can't, but you're still saying, hey, like, I'm single and I want to meet someone.
Yeah.
And so you can do that by video chatting online and using that as a safe space. And so it's not anything that's new. It's just so much more people are now using it as a tool for that connection.
And I think something that we were talking about earlier that's really cool about this whole video chat, like first time meeting somebody online, video chat, is because generally speaking, you're meeting them in their own home. And it's interesting because seeing somebody in their home can show a lot about somebody's personality and the way that they live, and just doing fun little activities like, hey, show me what's in your fridge, or like, give me a tour of your house, like show me what's important to you. Like, some other ideas for like your dates is like, you can have dinner with somebody and just be like, hey, I'm gonna cook something, or I'm gonna order, or you could even send somebody an order like for takeout. And so that's kind of
so
like
romantic. Order on like
so
Skip
romantic.
the Dishes or DoorDash,
and then you can eat together via video, and you can have that chat. So it's like you're able to do something. So yeah, it's interesting the kinds of things that are coming about right now.
Yeah, totally.
So is there anything that is happening right now during COVID dating that you think will carry on past COVID?
You know,
2021,
22. Yeah, like, I actually wonder, you know, will people find video chatting before they meet in person? Like, is that just going to be like the more common thing, right? Where before you'd come online, have a few interactions and be like, hey, like, let's meet up in a safe public space. But now you've tested the waters out on video. So it'll almost be like, yeah, I'm just going to do that every time. Right. And then go from video chatting to the actual meeting in person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, now that we've talked about all of this online dating, there's a lot of people who don't feel comfortable with online dating, or it's just, this isn't for me.
Right.
Because of COVID, like, we're not able to meet in large gatherings of friends, or like have a lot of people have like weekly game nights. I know that's something that I definitely miss. Or like, you know, in your Bible studies, you've got the groups in person, and it's like, oh, hey, I like this person. Let's go to the side and talk like we're in a group.
Yeah. Exactly.
But that's something that's not able to happen right now. And so, like, what kind of advice do you have for those people who feel like, okay, online dating is not for me, but I would like to meet somebody within the church or within the church community, not necessarily just your church, but
church
other
community.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because even like right now, church in many locations, I think, is going to look different. It's going to be they've leveraged their online church service or experience. But then if you're going to a physical gathering, you're pretty much going to walk in and then walk out and not really have much time for social interaction unless it's outside. And so, you know, hopefully churches will, you know, move home groups to an online platform, depending on how many people can gather and meet, right? Like, you know, if you can have maybe 15 to 20 people, then like having like a physical Bible study or home group where people come over, you know, and if it's co-ed, then that's a great way for people to meet and connect with one another. That might not be possible in some cities or states or provinces because of the restrictions. They might only be allowed 5 or 10, and then online home group would be preferred, you know, at that point. Yeah, what do you think?
Well, yeah, it's tough because, like, with the whole online home groups or like video chats or whatnot, it's like, how do I pull somebody aside, say, like, get to know somebody one-on-one, but not be awkward, and like, what are the new rules for that socially acceptable?
Right.
But something that we've done. Did we just do it once?
The house party game? Yeah.
So there's this app that, if you haven't heard about it, I would encourage you, no matter if it's for dating or just for friends, fun.
For hanging out,
is this app called House Party. And it has like a whole bunch of games that you can play via video.
That's pretty cool.
So like it's like you're video chatting with somebody, like FaceTime. There's like multiple people, and you're playing games like Heads Up. Is that we played once?
Yeah, Heads Up is a game.
Charades. There's even one that you can draw.
Right, and you have to guess like what the image is.
Yeah.
Oh, that's like a combination of charades.
There's so much potential, and there's different like extra games that I think you can purchase because the app's got to make money somehow.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So I would encourage you to maybe like even like invite a group of friends, because it's something to do together, and because you're playing a game, there's no socially awkward time.
No, yeah, exactly.
And then you can even socialize after on that app and just continue the video chat.
Right, because, you know, getting together for games physically would have been a good option, but now doing it virtually is
100%.
Is a pretty like decent alternative.
Yeah. So I don't know if there's anything else that would be some advice for the people in the church looking for romance.
You know, just find one that clicks. But had to throw in a little bit of puns and cheese in there. Yeah.
So, for just to end off this podcast, are there any words of encouragement that you might have for everyone in regards to dating and relationships, whether they're in a relationship right now or if they're single and looking?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna read a verse from the Bible, and it's from the book of, or Proverbs 4, verse 23. So what I was trying to say is that it's like the book of wisdom, and hence Proverbs. And it says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. I'll say that one more time. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. You know, this is a good Bible verse, and also just some common sense here is just like, don't just, you know, put yourself out there like on the first date and start sharing everything, anything and everything.
And I should have done that back in 2012 at the beginning. Yeah.
In other words, if I was to take this verse and translate it within the context of dating, it just means guard your heart and take it slow. Get to know the other person. That's the whole point of dating. And now with dating within the context of Christianity, we see dating as an avenue for marriage, right? Like you dated and I dated with the intention of one day getting married. Yeah. Hopefully to each other. Yeah. Right? But I mean, like, let's take some pressure off and say, you know, you're dating with the intention of marriage, but that doesn't mean that the first date that you go on with someone, you're like, oh my gosh, is he the one? Is she the one? I don't know. Like, take off that pressure, get to know the person and take your time.
Yeah. It's like, so often it's like, I gotta find this one right now. I gotta, like, you know, here's everything that's all about me, first or second date. But it's like, no, let's just get to know, like, what are you passionate about? What do you like to do for fun? And then after like a few dates, start to talk about, like, here's some theological stuff.
Right.
I mean, it's dependent.
What are your beliefs, right?
Yeah,
like,
what
where
are
do we
your
land
beliefs?
on that?
Yeah. Because it's like, something that's important for me, and I think you might agree with me, is that, like, you know, we all believe in the same God as Christians. We all believe that Jesus died and he rose again to pay for our sins so that we can go to heaven and be with God for eternity.
Right. Amen.
But like, sometimes there's different theological beliefs within that. And so it's important for me to be able to know that we're on the same beliefs, and so that we can raise a family together and teach them the same things and be on the same level. Because it's like, you can oftentimes get the whole, like, oh, he's not a Christian, he doesn't have the same beliefs as me, but I'm gonna date him and I'm gonna make him a Christian.
Mission dating doesn't work well, right?
Right. It's like,
not all the time, sometimes.
Yeah. And that's something that I learned, was that like, you've got to fall in love with and like somebody for who they are right now, and not for who they might be able to become. And so that's a word of encouragement. And another thing that I would like to say is that, like, for me, I think a reason why our foundation round, quote unquote, was the foundation round, was because I personally was not ready. There was multiple things, but I think a big one was that I was at the point where I was, what year was 23?
It was like 8 years ago-ish,
23? 22?
You probably would have been, that age at that time,
I was always thinking, like, growing up, I'm going to be married, or by 19, 20, just like my parents. They were high school sweethearts. And so I had that expectation on myself. And I had so many friends who were my age, who were married or who had found the one. And I was like, comparing myself, and I was just like, I need to find the one, I got to do it right now. Just in such a rush, but it was like not focusing on myself and loving myself. And it's like, God was like, no, Gail, like, my timing for you is different than so and so else.
Totally.
And like, I saw a friend of mine, she posted on Facebook the other day that, like, you've got to stop comparing yourself to other people in where you are in life. Like some people, they get married young. Some people, they get married old.
Yeah,
like
that's good.
older.
Or-
Some people have children when they're young, and some people have children when they're older. It's just like all in God's timing. It's all when you are personally ready. It doesn't make you or the other person better than the other one.
That's so good. Yeah.
And so that's something that, you know, you really got to stop. You got to get that out of your head. And so I think like I was able to find the love for myself, love me for who I am, and love me for who God made me to be, at least better by 2014.
Yeah.
When, you know, you came and messaged me again. And so, yeah.
You said something important, like love you for who you are, right? Because some people might get in a relationship so that the other person can complete them.
Yeah.
Right? But within Christianity, we see that God didn't design it that way. God said that the two shall become one.
Yeah.
Not that halves shall become one. I mean, I know my math, and 0.5 plus 0.5 equals 1. You know, but in God's eyes, he designed it that two actually become one and become united.
1 plus 1 equals 1.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
And so it's not that we completed each other,
Correct.
but we complement each other.
Yeah, and I'm really thankful for you because, like, you are who I was looking for. And I'm really thankful that I found you.
Including my lame jokes, my pickup lines, and...
I did ask God for somebody with sense of humor, so...
Yeah, you're welcome.
So, yeah, just encouraging you guys to not find your self-worth in where you are in life. And it's all in God's timing. And love yourself for who you are.
Yeah, exactly. And if online dating is something that you want to try, you know, do it. But do it carefully. And take advantage of it during this season. Like, don't let this season go wasted. But I think there's really good potential with some of the resources that are out there and potential websites for you to meet and connect with someone during this time.
And make sure that you have an accountability partner for that.
That is so good. Yeah.
That someone knows where you are if you're going to meet
someone.
Exactly. I'm going to meet this person. I need an out.
Yeah. In the park, in a public space, you know.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us, everyone. And in our basement.
Yeah, here we are hanging out. See you next time.
Thanks for joining us today in our basement.
Yeah, and before you go, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and share this content in your social media platforms. And we hope to see you next time in our basement.